I will be forever the myth.
You're the king of kings, Arnold.
There's always a pecking order. The little packers never mess with the big packers. So I'm a rooster, and he's a chicken, so to speak.
Rick, can you tell me how good Arnold and Sergio looked in their prime? I mean, you got to see them. You were on stage. You competed with Sergio and at Mr. Universe.
Yeah,
you competed with Arnold and Mr. Universe. How good were they? I mean, just to try and give our fans or our listeners an idea.
Sergio was phenomenal, and he would have been in his best shape. Sergio would still be phenomenal.
Yeah, even today,
because he had this tiny waist, he had the broad shoulders.
Yeah.
But the sad part is Sergio never got close to what I think he could have been. He never had those separations that he could have had.
Yeah.
And would still be able to maintain the body size.
Yeah.
You know, he never had that. And that's why I say he was blessed with this phenomenal body. But at the end of the day, Arnold, every day in a contest, I would put Arnold ahead, because Arnold was their posing ability. Sergio had one or two shots. The shot up there, front or back, that was great.
Yeah.
Sergio's double bicep shot. Sergio did not have great biceps. There was no peak to it. There were huge arms.
Yeah.
But Arnold had a peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and Arnold always showed himself at best angles. The muscles that were the best, that's what you saw.
Yeah.
But Sergio he didn't think. Sergio didn't think. Sergio's bodybuilding had nothing to do with intellect. To beat Arnold, you had to get into his mind.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't just compete against a guy with muscles. The guy was tall. He was always impeccable. He was always on. He was funny. He knew how to work a crowd. I remember one time we were in San Jose, and that was after the Whitney Museum of Art when they did. You remember that thing?
Yeah.
And Arnold comes and does a show. I was in San Jose then with him for whatever reason I was there, and we were sharing the same suite. So there's the theater, San Jose Pictures and everything, and Arnold comes on. And of course, they went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But Arnold, as you know, was skinny.
Yeah.
Because he had dropped all this weight for this museum thing, whatever it was, with Frank Zane and who was there, Ed Corney, etc. So that evening, we're in the room talking, and I said to him, Arnold, how you were so white? And you look skinny. And he says, so what? I said, so what? He said, did you feel bad standing up in front of that crowd? You know, in that kind of shape? And he said, Ricky, whose picture was outside on the billboards? I said, Arnold. He said, Arnold who? I said, what do you mean Arnold? He said, Arnold who? I said, Arnold, Mr. Olympia. He said, who did the audience turn out to see? I said, Arnold. He said, stop there. Did they see Arnold? I said, yeah. He said, well, they got what they came for. If they want to see me in Mr. Olympia shape, come to the Olympia. Now, what are you going to say to that?
Right. That's a great idea. That's a great point.
But what are you going to say to that? Arnold is not going to knock himself out for a show.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, his name will carry him there. The Arnold fans, if he stood on his neck, they would still be applauding.
Right.
And they bought the tickets, and he's been paid.
Yeah.
It's like the famous one I wrote about him holding the envelope up to the light in the early days, and kept tossing every now and again. He tossed the envelope into the trash. You know the story, right? And I said to him, why are you doing that? And he says, no money, no checks. I said, but what if there is a check in there, and because he doesn't even open it, he just holds it up to the light. And I said, well, what if there's a check in there? he says, if there's a check in that, they'll call me again.
Right.
And those were early days.
I know. Amazing.
So, and Arnold did not go to any kind of a Harvard or anything,
Right.
but he didn't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arnold could start his own school.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, I wonder where it came from, you know, because you look at his beginning.
I don't know.
It didn't come from his parents.
I know it bothered. I know it bothered Lee. Now all these guys, it's good to see everybody friendly now, and everybody. But they weren't always friendly.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know Lee was not happy with how he felt the magazines were treating him as opposed to Arnold, because he felt he had won so many Olympias and he wasn't quite getting what Arnold got.
Yeah.
And he had a point, but nobody could compare themselves with Arnold. Arnold would walk into the Weider building where everybody knew him and everybody would still come out, hey, Arnold. They wouldn't do it to anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ferrigno would come in there, so what?
Yeah.
Even at the height of his Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. There's only one Arnold.
It didn't matter. There's only one Arnold, and it's good that he's still associated with it. But the bodybuilding he represents is gone.
Yeah, I know.
Who is behind the golden age thing? Who's the bodybuilding golden age? Who does that? You have a page there as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Bodybuilding Legends.
Oh, and
I've got Bodybuilding Legends on Facebook too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Raw Iron. Yeah, those are very, very good.
Yeah.
I get so much reaction from people from all over the world, Czechoslovakia and everything.
Yeah.
From that, this is really very, very good.
Yeah.
I am reluctant to post any pictures because I don't know how, but I'm gonna ask Nicole to post a few. Because it's so terrible. Everybody's posting, and those they post to me. Sometimes I've never even seen them, but I have some unique ones.
Yeah, send me some too, Rick.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing another book.
That would be awesome.
And to tell the stories of behind the photographs. So I'm looking forward to that when I eventually settle down to do that.
How was your relationship with Frank Zane? Because you guys knew each other all the way back in the 60s, and then he got a little offended when he was winning the Olympia, and you said that he was like a gazelle with the monsters, right? With the elephants and the hippos.
Yeah, but that was meant to be complimentary.
That is a compliment when you look at it, that sentence, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Frank was always upset with my writing.
Yeah.
He
even got to the microphone in 78, remember, after he won, and he wanted to thank you. He goes, I want to thank Rick Wayne.
Yes.
For writing all those things about me. It inspired me to train harder.
But he's got to admit it that what Rick Wayne, in fact, May, whenever she does interviews about how we met and whatever, she will be saying the thing about Rick is everybody wanted Rick to write about them because when Rick wrote about you, people read it.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Look at how you've been able to just think of all those things I've forgotten.
Yeah. All those
because each of them. I've got to also put another plug for Jack. He's not doing too well as far as I heard.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know.
I don't want to exaggerate that, but I think he has some problems. But Jack was a really great writer.
Yeah,
and some of the stuff I would like to tell you, I can't tell you on that because the bit near the X line.
Okay.
You didn't ask me about Mike Mentzer.
I was going to.
How long is this show? Are you going to cut that up in 3 episodes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too about Serge Nubret. We were talking about apartheid in South Africa, and you wrote a big thing about that, right? About he was going over there. He was the vice president. Can you explain that a little bit, Rick? Serge was the vice president, and then all of a sudden Weider kicked him out because he said he was in these porno movies.
Yeah, I thought the Weiders were not nice to Serge Nubret.
Yeah,
and but it was. Let me give you, I like to illustrate. There was this contest where that iconic picture was taken, that same session.
Okay.
And Draper had posed. No, he hadn't posed. Draper came, and Draper was Joe's boy. before Arnold, there was Draper.
Yeah.
There was Sergio, well, Larry Scott.
Yeah.
And all those guys.
Chuck Sipes.
Yeah. Chuck Sipes didn't belong in that picture. He ran. He just ran and when the shot was taken. I don't think all the shots have Chuck Collarus in them. Chuck Sipes, he said.
Oh, you're talking about the group picture. Okay. I was just thinking,
I didn't really know Chuck Sipes at all. It was not one of my favorite bodybuilders either. But at that time, that iconic picture was taken. Draper said he Sergio and Draper and the rest of them were grumbling together.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnold was instigating a lot of that. Make sure you get paid and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And those were early days. So when it came time for Draper to pose, who knew Joe Weider forever, he wouldn't pose until Joe gave him a check.
Yeah.
And just says, what the hell? I'll send you a check. He said, I want my check now. And that went on with 2 or 3 other guys. And Joe had no checkbook as usual. And certainly no cash. And the guy who normally did carry that was a guy called John Lima, and he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Joe normally sent the checks out maybe late, but he normally sent checks out to the guys. But now they wanted to paid before they pose, and Caruso is waiting there.
Yeah.
And of course, I've been listening to Arnold stirring it up with these guys.
Why was he doing that?
It's coming. so then Arnold, it's a mess now because he doesn't have the money, Joe, and the guys won't trust him, etc. And Arnold says, "Oh, I have the money. I will." So there was Arnold's Olympia money,
mm-hmm.
and he had other money. He gave it to Joe, and Joe paid. Now I tell you afterwards. It's as if Joe had met the Blessed Virgin. Arnold, such a nice guy, and it never occurred to him that Arnold had set up this whole thing, and Dave was going through one of his, and so unforgettable. That's Arnold again. We keep going back to him.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
the goody things, the twisted things, the clever things, the manipulative things. That is Arnold, but that was a personality.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the other guys was what you see, what you get. That's it. Nothing more.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about Serge in that '75 Olympia.
Yeah, I thought Serge got
screwed.
He was he was a lamb before lions.
Because he promoted the '71 Olympia, and then he was the president, so he was in the favor with them for a while, and then all of a sudden they just got him out.
You remember when they banned so many guys? IFBB banned them, including Arnold, and Arnold's ban lasted until the next Olympia.
You're right. Was that '71 too? Right when they went unopposed? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I never figured why they suspended Franco. I never did figure out what he did.
I don't remember what he did. I think he may have appeared on some unsanctioned show, but he too, the ban was just long enough for him to be available for the next contest.
Right.
Because those guys competed once a year.
Yeah. Right.
So all you had to do was make the ban last from one contest to the next.
Do you think Arnold would have beat Bill Pearl if he would have been allowed in the '71 Olympia or '71 NABBA universe?
No.
You don't think he would have beat him? No.
No. But Arnold would not have entered the contest. That was a whole bunch of stuff. Oscar Handenstam had John Grimek, first of all, as God. Reeves should have beaten Grimek. How the hell could and I mean Grimek is a legend, and it's almost what I'm looking for, blasphemous to say anything not wonderful about Grimek.
Right.
But I mean, really, there are a couple of nice shots, really good shots of Grimek. I agree, but Grimek was never worthy of that legend.
Yeah, they had him as they had his image as the backdrop, right, for the NABBA universe.
Yeah. And he won based on trick performances, like pulling in his gut and putting in a ball there.
I read that. It was crazy.
Yeah. Or like Reeves was, when I talk to people about Reeves, I wrote something on Facebook on that recently. I saw somebody actually describe, he was not an English speaking person. So he used the word beautiful as a non-English speaking person. And I said, hey, I like that, because whenever I talked about Reeves, whether to young people or schools, I always referred to Reeves as beautiful. And that was my first real inspiration, was Steve Reeves.
Yeah.
Reeves was not handsome. Reeves was pretty, beautiful. Yeah. Oh, God. Right. I mean, you look at some of the pictures that because now they're releasing all kinds of things, and you see, but the pictures that we knew were perfection.
Yeah.
Picture him walking down on that movie set, and that one with the sword and lean over was like those pictures. Nobody can take that. And that face, and that face, those bones. Oh, and it was tall and everything.
Yeah.
Funny thing happened. I was a reader, and I got a call once, and said, "This is Rick Wayne. This is Steve Reeves." I said, "Yeah, right." I said, "No, this is Steve Reeves, and I'm a big fan of your writing." And I've decided I want to do a book, and I want you to write it. And when you think of it, here was, my God.
Yeah.
I never did get to meet him. We talked a while. I took notes and all that kind of stuff, and he died.
Oh, yeah.
So I never got to meet him, and which perhaps is a good thing, because the image I had of him was 21 years old. And by that time you're 80 or something. So it's always, it's like I had an opportunity to meet Elvis, and by that time he was gone. He was. So I just didn't want to. I'm the ultimate Elvis Presley fan.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh man. but if I was going to see him at all, I wanted to see him at the time of Vegas. And, and King Creole, not
at the older Elvis. Yeah. No. Did you see that movie, Rick, about Elvis, the new one?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought
everybody thinks it's good, but I can't help thinking that nothing I would see would take the place of Elvis, because I mean Elvis was the guy who I was gaga over as a teen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't forget.
You were a singer too.
That's right.
Yeah. How long
and all of my reviews said how much I sounded like Elvis.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. Every record review I had.
How long did that career last? You're saying
about 5 years.
Okay.
I recorded for CBS. They had an affiliate. Yeah, and also a company called Pi Records.
Okay. What kind of singing was it? What kind of song?
Oh, rock.
Yeah.
rock. From Don't Be Cruel to King Creole to all that, and Jerry Lee Lewis, a whole lot of shaking going on. That was my kind of stuff.
Wow. And you sang at one of Bud Parker's shows, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. There's another one. We were in Philadelphia, and I emceed. I did a few things on the show, and I sang, and I remember I closed the first half with that Buddy Holly song, It Doesn't Matter Anymore. But I guess it doesn't matter anymore. And Leroy Colbert and all the guys in the front row, they'd never heard me sing before. Wow. So I get off the stage, and as I'm walking to Joe Weider and all of them in the front row, they all excited, And Joe just like that, What? So I shook hands with the guys, congrats, Ricky, you're great, blah, 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 blah. And then I sit down with Joe. I said, what's the problem, Joe? He says, Ricky, you know how many guys would like to write like you? A lot. You know how many guys wish they had your physique? A lot. You remember how many guys wish this, wish that? And you can do all of those things. And I'm thinking there's a compliment coming there.
Yeah.
It's no wonder you're so fucked up. I miss Joe Weider. I really miss Joe. I think I probably would have come back to California if Joe, but it happens. But what is the buzz on body? Because you remember how it used to be in the old days. What is the buzz now? What do people talk about?
Well,
the fact that you have no more magazines as such, it's horrible. Because there was nothing like holding that magazine.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know about that.
But you know what? Now, Rick, with the internet, I see what happens. I even told Jake Wood, who owns the Olympia. He's the guy who bought the Olympia.
Yeah.
He's had me do. I've been doing backstage interviews. Sean Ray got me involved doing that. So I've been doing that the last couple of years when it was.
Sean seems to have opened up a whole vista. He's everywhere.
He is. Yeah, he travels every week.
Doing well, is he?
Yeah, he's a good businessman. He's involved with a lot of different companies. So
yeah, go ahead.
So I mentioned to Jake, or somehow got word to Jake, that it's a shame that we don't have these articles anymore. You know, like you used to do, like Peter used to do, like Jack used to do, where it would be 3 parts and you could read all the things of, like you said, you would go backstage, you would interview all these guys, you would find out where they're coming from and what's going on with them and what their thoughts are. And all that's gone now. And now today, because there's no magazines, there's no written account of these contests. So what happens now is when the contest happens, it's live streamed, so everybody sees it right away. And then right after it's over, everybody does their podcast or their YouTube interviews. You know, everybody talks about it for a day or so, and then it's gone. You know, and then it's like, what's going to happen next year? You know, it's
that can never match the idea of how we did it. How I did it. Yeah. Because, you know, like I told you, I went after the soul, I went after, and you could keep that forever.
Yeah.
You were like a walking library.
Yeah, because I got them. I still got the magazine.
That's right. With what's happening now, 2 days and it's gone.
Yeah.
And in any case, there is not the facility of asking questions. And if you want to call them back a little later and to get a little something out of it,
right.
It's what they tell you backstage. And I don't know that the guys are even concentrating on or even what, you know, they get it over with quickly backstage. They're hungry and all.
Yeah.
It cannot replace the magazines. And I don't understand why is it there isn't a magazine? Does that mean it will not be bought?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because everything's on the internet.
Internet is taking over.
Yeah.
Very sad.
It is. It's really sad because we don't get that writing. We don't get the details of the contest.
Nothing like lying in a lounge chair near a pool with a report of the Olympics.
Yeah.
You keep it there and you don't even read it until Saturday.
Yeah, like Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I know. And then it's bad with history too, because I'm working with Lee Haney now. He's got his own personal training certification program. And he's complaining about the history. He's like, nobody knows the history. These young kids don't know the history. So he wants me to put something together that I could teach at his certification course about the history of bodybuilding, something short, and it'll give them a little bit of background about the history of bodybuilding. But if you go look like at a contest, like at last year's Mr. Olympia, and you go to look up a report on it or something, it'll list who won and it'll have the top 10. But that's it. There's no article.
Like I watch the guys on podcasts like yours. I think Gaspari, Lee Haney, and they're interesting for me to hear Lee Haney's perspective on something. But it's more a matter of everybody being nice to everybody.
Yeah, right.
That's not real life.
Yeah, I know.
That is not real life. I remember doing a color thing in Europe, where was it? Geneva, with Jeff Everson. There was this big contest with Jeff Everson. And Jeff was saying how in his commentary, we were doing color commentary, and there was pay-per-view in Los Angeles and all this stuff. And for Jeff, who was a wonderful guy, by the way, a very good writer.
Yeah.
Very good writer.
Yeah, I like Jeff too.
Yeah, very. I miss him. His magazine, I love this magazine as well. And everybody was wonderful. Isn't he, Rick? Isn't it? And at one point I said, come on, Jeff. the guy's crap. I said, and I was told that in Los Angeles they lifted the roof.
Oh, really?
That the guy was crap, and somebody said it, and just it's going to be Rick Wade was going to say it,
Yeah.
So, but I think that actually made the particular show his star. But today, guys, everybody's nice to each other.
I know.
And that's not real life. I watched Gaspari, and Gaspari says how wonderfully they talk about their workouts.
Yeah.
They talk about their workouts. Or like Makkawy. Makkawy is another one people know very little about.
Yeah.
I had left California on one of my hiatuses to St. Lucia. And I was at this newspaper, working at this newspaper, and an envelope on my desk sent to me from Weider, from California. And as I opened it, a bunch of pictures fell out. And I said, hell, when did I take those pictures? And then I read the letter, company letter, and it was Makkawy telling me how everybody in Egypt, they call him Little Rick Wayne.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
But it looked, I mean, the poses were my poses, and he really did.
Yeah.
You can still see it, you know.
Even facially, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think, he was fantastic, by the way. And I don't think it enough is known about Mohamed. Mohamed went up against giants, you know.
Yeah. I've tried to get him on my show, and for some reason he doesn't want to do interviews.
He doesn't want to do interviews.
Yeah.
Probably disenchanted.
Yeah, maybe.
He's in Canada, isn't he?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
That's why I last saw him. Yeah. He beat Henny, didn't he, in one of the Grand Prix?
A couple, like 3 of them, I think.
Yeah. Because I was there. Yeah. Bertil Fox.
Yeah, we got to talk about Bertil Fox.
You know
before we get into that, though, about the articles, Rick, I wanted to say that when I was talking about that 81 Olympia report, what so impressed me was you had these quotes in there from Joe Weider. He was talking about Arnold, saying Arnold's bad at this and Arnold's bad at that. And then Arnold was criticizing Joe Weider, saying, oh, Joe's such an actor. He wouldn't come up on stage. Like, he was so surprised about this. He knew what Franco looked like.
That was the biggest booing contest.
Yeah.
But Arnold,
I was just so impressed that you guys were able to put that in the magazine. It was so enjoyable to read that, you know. And I was like, I'm really
that's the whole point.
Joe Weider allowed that in, you know.
Joe Weider had never stopped me writing.
Yeah,
I told you about the Pope, right? Thing. I told you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe Weider has never stopped me writing anything.
Yeah.
And so all the talk, that's why I always defend him.
Yeah.
That Joe Weider had a special this. Everybody has their favorites. I had my favorite guys.
I don't think that would never be allowed now. Like, you could not criticize the organization, the judges, you know, they would cut that. They would never be allowed.
I did.
I know.
I criticized judges. I criticized.
Great.
Yeah. I criticize the fact that you have the same judges all the time. I still see they're complaining about that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of stories also not told regarding Arnold's Australia, which I won't do this time. Next time we'll do that.
All right. Yeah.
Some interesting things that never been told. Because I interviewed Arnold about that contest. And,
you did? Okay.
And he really was pouring out his feelings and what really happened and who screwed him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And who owed him money. And he says, well, one particular judge came to him and said, Arnold, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's tough. Well, the guy's got to do what the guy's got to do. And Arnold says to him, you owe me so much. I want my money right now. And the guy said, well, the guy's got to do what the guy's got to do. And he demanded that the money the guy owed him, I won't say the name right now, and got his money back. Arnold was devastated by the whole thing. I met him in Philadelphia a few weeks earlier. I just come back for them. I think it was the first Miss Olympia.
Miss Olympia, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have a lot of pictures on that. You may have seen some of those pictures. Yeah. And I said, are you competing? I'm just training him. And the next thing I heard, Arnold was on his way. Yeah. He was in good shape, but he was not Arnold. Yeah. But you know, it's like boxing. When a guy is a world champion and has been for a while, you have to knock him out. Mm-hmm. You can't beat him on points. Yeah. You basically have to knock him out. And Arnold was not knocked out. Yeah. But a lot of stuff followed that because he staged the contest that Franco was in, the booing, that was his contest. Yes. And he was scared to death that all the guys would boycott. Yeah. Yeah. And didn't. So when he was laughing and all the remarks, they did not all necessarily have to do with what everybody saw, but almost a revenge kind of thing. Everybody's on my case about Australia. Well, now talk about this.
Yeah, yeah. Do you wish you would have went to that, Rick, the 1980 Olympia, to see it in person?
Australia?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Man. you know that was one of my. I hated traveling. So that was the other thing.
Yeah.
And I said to Joe, I want to cover that. He would have settled that right away. As a matter of fact, I did not go back to Los Angeles. I stayed with George Snyder for almost a year writing.
Oh, really?
3 More Reps.
Oh yeah. Those are great books.
Yeah. I was writing 3 More Reps.
Yeah.
And those are good books, actually.
Yeah.
I read a lot of nice comments about them. So I couldn't have gone anyway. But if I'd had a choice, I would have loved. God, I would have had everything that went down. Right?
Oh yeah, you would have been right into that.
Yeah, but all you read now is there's a rumor and perspective, and
it's amazing it's still talked about. I mean, 42 years later.
Yeah, but not with any meat.
No,
they just say
I talked about by people who weren't even born when it happened.
Exactly. Or they say Mentzer should have won and whatever.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bertil Fox, because he was a favorite of yours, right? When he first came.
Not much to say about Bertil. I remember when it happened. I called Joe and I told Joe about it, and he said, "What a shock!"
Yeah,
but we're not surprised, are we? Because all the signs were there.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah. What about him as a bodybuilder, Rick? Because you liked him when he first came over, right? You were a big supporter of him.
I have said also, if I have any regrets, is that I ever talked Bertil into coming to California, because he never wanted to. And in fact, before I came back to California, Joe tried every inducement and he wouldn't bite, because Bertil enjoyed being the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah.
He didn't. Bertil did not like competing.
Yeah.
That's why he went to New York, and Bertil and Beckles and Fuller and all those guys blew him away, psyched him out.
Yeah.
He hated Bertil loved working out. Bertil would come to my place which was very close, 5-minute walk from where I got him an apartment and his wife, very close to where I lived in Canoga Park.
Mm-hmm.
And Bertil would come to my place depressed as hell. How can he get out of this Olympia? How can he get out of this? He's in a contract to Joe, but looking for excuses. If I get a doctor to this, can I do that? And I said, what do you want to do it for? And one particular day, the guy walks into my room, my living room, a house. And Bertil was never fat. He was always almost in contest shape.
Yeah.
And I took him to my bathroom and the mirror, get his shirt off, and made him pose and all of it. And was sweating from the effort. And as he put his shirt back on, walking back in the living room, he says, I don't know what it is. I don't look like that in my mirror. Speaking of which, I was at a show where Steve, what's the second name now? I forget. Steve, one of the old boys.
Haley?
Blonde. Oh gosh.
Davis? Not Steve Davis.
Steve Davis.
Okay.
Yeah. And Arnold and I were sitting near the stage, and Steve walks up. Now Steve used to be heavy, very heavy.
Yeah.
And he came down to Zanish proportions.
Right.
And Arnold sitting there, and Arnold says, always watching. Arnold was like an eagle, and checking everybody out. You always get back to Arnold. And he says, I would give anything to have that guy's mirror. And he was dead serious. I said, what do you mean? He says, look at how he walks. Can you just imagine what he sees in the mirror? He sees Mr. Olympia in the mirror.
Yeah.
But the other guys were the reverse, and Bertil was the reverse. Bertil was it.
Yeah.
But he couldn't see it. Bertil never got over being a little boy from St. Kitts.
Yeah. And I'm sure you see that with a lot of bodybuilders, right?
Yeah, all those. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Nobody has done anything about the psychology of champions. There's a book called Little Big Men or something.
Yeah.
They kind of attempted that, but nobody has done a real serious from the stage perspective of these people, you know.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mike Mentzer, Rick, before I let you go, because I know we've been talking for a while. What did you think of Mike when you first met him, when he first came on the scene?
I remember Mike came to Weider, and it's obvious that he had read a lot of my stuff, etc. And it was obvious too that he didn't like that I was obviously a super fan of Arnold, that we had background, all that kind of stuff. So it was very quiet, and he was always a very cerebral guy, as well. So he was, Jack and him were good friends. I think Jack lived with him for a while.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay. And there I say that I always thought there was something odd about Mike. I did not go for his training system for obvious reasons. I had gotten, you know, Larry Scott measured my arm at 20 inches.
Wow.
When I was still in England. Larry Scott measured it.
Yeah.
I have actually gotten to 21-inch arms at 215.
Wow.
And these are real measurements, measurements. And I was not on drugs.
Wow.
Larry Scott. Arnold wrote in one of his books that Rick Wayne had the perfect, and Larry Scott said the same. Rick Wayne had the perfect upper arm balance, bicep height, and triceps.
Yeah.
Okay. So my arms came in very good. I did not use heavy weights. My favorite exercise was the bend over concentration curl, which was more dynamic tension movement with a weight in my hand.
Yeah.
As opposed to straining it. I never. I did a lot of those cheap barbell curls, but I always thought that was, I just hurt my rotator cuff and back with all the kind of, those movements were hopeless.
Yeah.
I like seated dumbbell curls, alternate, because there's the concentration. You can actually let that arm hang down and really get that arm. And the most I ever used on that was 40. You know, I didn't need anything more than 40 pounds for my arms. I would sometimes go a little more, but for my workouts, 40. And when I was ready for the Olympia, I was 195, 200, and I was cut, really cut. You know. So at my height, that's good. That's good body weight.
Yeah.
So and I did that without any kind of heavy movements.
Yeah.
They were heavy. I counted poundages in terms of one set 12. So I would have the weight, and by the time I would need a little push maybe on the 10th rep, 11th rep. I never believed in the spotting. I think that's a whole load of crap.
Reps, yeah.
Because if you have a guy helping you, what's the point of that? No matter what the help is giving you. You work to failure. In that, I use Mentzer's phrase there, to failure. You know, you shouldn't be able to do another rep when you return the weight to the rack.
Yeah.
But that you can do that with a 35-pound dumbbell, or you can do it to a bench press with 300.
Yeah.
But I determined the weight based on what I was able to do with it. And always the exercises, there was this mind-muscle connection. So if I did one of my favorite movements, which I think is the best exercise for the pecs anyway, although they can have problems with your shoulders, flies. I would go down connected and come back squeezing.
Yeah.
And if they were so heavy that I couldn't control the squeeze, that would be too heavy.
Too much, yeah.
So I use how much weight for that? Probably go up to 50, 45.
Okay. Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
But other guys were using 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I also loved incline dumbbell presses.
Yeah.
Okay. And as for abdominals, crunches and leg raises between chairs, all I did, and I won best abdominals a number of times.
Oh yeah.
I actually beat Franco for best abdominals. That ain't easy. Yeah.
So Mr. World, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I got shafted in that one.
Yeah, that was one Draper one, right?
but again, another iconic thing. Dave Draper handed me the trophy. He says, "Rick, you deserve this trophy," and he gave me the trophy on stage.
Wow, no kidding.
On stage, great guy, Dave. He says, "You deserve that trophy." That famous Caruso picture with Sergio doing a double bicep and all those trophies at his feet. All my trophies.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Oh yeah, my trophies. Best body parts, best pose, whatever.
Yeah.
They were all my trophies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
So every time I see those pictures, memories.
Yeah.
I'm a great fan of good photographs.
Yeah.
And Caruso, the guy I never met was a guy called Per Bernal or something.
Yeah, Per Bernal. Yeah.
I really wish when I was in top shape that I might have known this guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Fantastic pictures. Chris Lunda also was very good. I remember asking him how he had this perspective, and he told me that he started photography, photographing cadavers, dead bodies.
Wow.
That's how he started his photography.
Wow.
And I photographed them the same way, and he photographed these bodybuilding champions with the same kind of mind,
Wow, that's crazy. Hey, I want to mention Cal Scalak. Remember him?
Very much.
Yeah, and he tried to do that.
Cal was for me, on reflection, a bit Mentzerish.
Okay.
I never thought Mike was a particularly friendly guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be just a personal thing with Mike and myself. We never had any fights or anything.
Okay.
But we never connected. But he connected with Jack. Jack adored him.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say he was a bad guy. Yeah. I just want to say that our chemistry didn't go. And when he flipped, I have to say flipped, because I would take the calls at my house.
Oh, really?
6 o'clock in the morning. And he would start talking the stuff about the devil. I saw the devil, and he was referring to Arnold. It took me a while to realize he's talking about Arnold. And I suspect on reflection that he may have been on substances at the time but sounded like a total insane guy.
Yeah.
So we never really, talented guy. He wrote well. He wrote very well. Yeah. It must have hurt him tremendously when he felt he should have beaten Arnold. Because he was convinced he should have beaten Arnold. But then Frank Zane also thought that. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I think Arnold, it's just like he said about in Germany. Had I been a judge, I might have voted for Sergio. I was not a judge, Rick. I was a contender.
Right.
And that line, I wrote about that. And that line has been given all kinds of meanings.
Yeah.
But that was Arnold's way of saying, what do you want from me? I'm there as a competitor. I'm not a judge. And if the judges chose me, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But people tended to go after Arnold, believing that he had a deal set up with Weider, and Weider manipulated the judges. That's not true.
Right.
Back there were times when Arnold, when Joe perhaps secretly wished Arnold wouldn't win.
Yeah.
Especially if Ferrigno. That was his baby. But I think he eventually sidelined him.
Yeah.
And went full blown Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Cal tried to do that.
Cal.
The Union.
I don't know. Well, first it was Arnold who won the Union. Arnold had all of those guys complaining that they weren't getting enough money for the Olympia and so on. And Arnold took his life in his hands with the Weiders and organized this meeting in Santa Monica. And the place was packed. And Ben Weider showed up, and he expected all of these guys to complain to Ben Weider what their problems were. And he would be standing with them. Well, he had already told Ben anyway. And that's why Ben was there. And not one guy had a complaint. And Arnold, typical Arnold walked out, and on his way out, Ben, don't forget my birthday party this evening. You know why he said that?
Why?
Because he was telling all those guys, screw you. My relationship with Ben is solid. You need me to talk to Ben for you, but you were too chicken to stand up for yourselves, and you all made me look bad. So now I know where I stand.
So Arnold was the one who wanted the union because he had all the bodybuilders complaining to him.
That's right. That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Sikalak had his problems, but I don't think Sikalak actually went anyway to form or anything. Sikalak fell out with Weider over endorsements and whatever. I think I was a witness in the court on one of their court cases. They settled or whatever. But again, I never really got to know Sikalak. I wrote about him a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I never really got to know him. He wasn't the most affable guy I know. I mean, Zane was always very, very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Very quiet. But when I would be interviewing him, it was a fountain of stuff coming out, like his dreams and all that kind of stuff. It was great. A bit weird when a guy who has a dream before every Olympia and can interpret them, but great stuff for writing about.
Yeah.
And I presented him also like a bodybuilding, like an intellectual. He was a teacher, chemistry or whatever it was. He was teaching math. Yeah. And I presented him as a guy, an intellectual, was a bodybuilder. Because I always wanted to do that. I always wanted the world to know that these are guys who just happen to do bodybuilding. That bodybuilding did not turn you into moron. Yeah. If you're a moron as a bodybuilder, that's because you were a moron before you were
right.
Right. And it's like Robbie. Robbie was always in all kinds of different moods because of stuff Robbie was taking. I have a photograph of Robbie sniffing with his then girlfriend on a plane. And that's why he couldn't be at the Olympia at the contest to check out the lighting.
Yeah.
So there's a guy called Hal Pern or whatever his name is, who wrote a book on Arnold, and he writes about a pumping iron wrap-up party that Arnold gave at Arnold's birthday or something or other, and the guy quotes me as saying all of the racist and all this and what. Man, I wasn't there for pumping iron. I was back in the Caribbean by then. I came back afterwards. And what he obviously did, when you read it, he quoted Robbie. And, I read that angrily, but I laughed about it. It reminded me of the all look alike kind of thing. And, I got over that. And I thought to call the guy, when I was much younger, I would have been pissed off. I'd call the publisher and everybody out. But all of those things add up to make stories so I can talk to you about them.
Right.
But so this writer guy totally got our names mixed up. The statement came from Robbie, not from me, because I was not anywhere around for pumping iron. I didn't want to be around pumping iron. I went on vacation. I was there for pumping iron the women. I attended I had a lot of fun writing about the premiere, where you had people like the woman who was the feminist who was in charge. I forget her name now.
Gloria
Steinem.
Yeah.
I met her, very nice. George Plimpton, who was a great writer, and I was a great fan of all his books. I'd met him earlier in Vegas. I talked to Cory a lot, and talked to her about Bev and all these people. Have you ever contacted her?
Yeah, we did an interview about a year ago. She was great person.
Yeah. She was a lot of fun. I think she's still very shook up.
Yeah, she was.
Jeff. And I pull her leg all the time. I said, "You have a phenomenal husband, because I don't know any other husband would allow you to keep that flame burning as openly." Yeah. So, but maybe the guy figures, well, he's dead anyway.
Yeah, I felt bad in the interview because the first thing I said to her was, "I'm sorry about Jeff passing." I think he passed at least 6 months, maybe a year ago. She started crying.
Yeah. She's still very much in love.
Very much in love with him. Yeah.
Oh, it's very much in love with him.
Yeah.
And they were so good together.
Yeah.
The articles I wrote, very funny articles about Jeff. There was one in particular, Jeff in the doghouse.
Yeah.
And he posed for this picture with a poodle and a little thing, and Jeff had a great sense of humor. As they say in England, a good stirrer-upper as well. He used to stir it up between me and Fred Hatfield.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'll save that for another show.
Okay. What about Ken Waller? Did you get to meet him? Pretty good.
Yeah, but Ken, those guys were the Gold's Gym people.
Yeah.
And I never moved from Vince's. I enjoyed working at Vince's.
Okay.
And again, we'll talk about Vince like nobody has talked about Vince next time.
Okay.
What a nice, humble, crazy nutcase. But we were very, very close. And funny thing, Bobby Blake.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson and I worked out together for about 4 years.
Wow, really?
At Vince's. Yeah. And the stories I can tell you about that.
That'll be interesting.
Must wait for another show. Okay. But those are things you won't read anywhere else, including not in those books. What's his name? Coyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been writing on Vince's. But, you know, you read those things and Vince was iconic, but Vince was also weird.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and
you were out there a long time, right?
Long time, and he loved me.
Did he?
He loved me.
Yeah.
Here's how he introduced himself. This is never going to end. Here's how he introduced. I just come to California a week. I get a phone call in my office. Is this Rick Wayne? I said, yeah. It says, well, I'm Vince Gironda. And I say, wow, because iconic. I'd seen him in London and all that stuff. And he says, I'm calling you and I'm drunk. And the reason I'm drunk is I couldn't talk to you unless I was drunk. But of course, you know, he had a serious alcoholic problem anyway. But he let me know he was drunk. And he had gotten drunk for Dutch courage, as they say in England.
Right.
So he had called me and he says to me, do not embarrass me. I have sent your keys to you by courier and he'll be delivering it any minute. And if you turn me down, I will be very, very embarrassed because I've been talking about you. In other words, don't go training at Goals. Right. And the great thing about Vince's gym,
he sent you keys to his gym. Is that what
he sent me the keys, yeah.
Wow.
But you know, Vince's gym was like a home gym.
Yeah.
It was very archaic, and when you got to know your way around, great.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of great things Vince had, but there were also things that were quirky.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to do that, go ahead and do it. But crap, like his aversion to squats and sissy squats. I can't think of anything to hurt your knees more than more than sissy squat. But if you ever saw a guy squatting there were no squat racks.
Right.
And if you ever caught anybody squatting, he'd throw you out.
Right.
He'd go to the register, get your money, and I've seen him do it so many times.
Wow, crazy.
Vince Gironda. But there's so much that I didn't. I
know.
You really set it going.
Great.
So I was talking about OJ, Bobby Blake, and a few other, and
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah, I seen a lot of pictures.
It's great talking to you, man. you remember everywhere I slip up.
Right.
And he loved Carl Weathers as well.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers. And one day, one of those really hot and sweaty California days. So it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And we all had keys, by the way. Mm-hmm. So we could train any time.
Mm-hmm.
And all those guys were movie stars and actors or people in fashion. Those are the people who worked out at Vince as the regulars, as opposed to people who just came up. So Vince's hair all the way down. He just came in. He's hangover. He's hungover from that. He had a very, very serious alcohol problem. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay, and plus funny Italian. You know, Vince was a joy. You can tell I loved him. So we're sitting there. A couple of guys were in fashion. They were the first to come up with that kind of shirt where you just tied at the neck and they were just loose. Those guys, their name Golden somebody. They created that, and it was fashionable for a long time. Anyway, and then it became gear for working out in. So we're sitting in the bathroom, the shower section. Vince, myself, a couple of the other guys, and couple of old boys, Italian friends of his. And OJ comes out of stark naked out of the showers, and he has a towel on his shoulder. And OJ is in great shape. I mean, he wasn't limping then. Great. OJ was a good-looking guy. I mean, a nice guy. And just then, Robert Blake, whom everybody hated, is coming from the gym into the shower area where we were sitting.
Okay.
Sweating like a pig, and Blake wouldn't talk to anybody. A horrible guy.
Yeah.
And Vince out of nowhere just says, Bobby, why couldn't you be like half as nice as OJ instead of being such a fucking asshole? and Blake's response was that was it. They will use that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the punchline there, I met OJ in Miami. I was back in St. Lucia and I was doing a trip, and I had to change planes in Miami.
Okay.
And May was going up the stairs with an editor I had. I thought we were going to Turks and Caicos. So they were going up the escalator. They were doing a little shopping. And I got a whole bunch of magazines, and I'm sitting down by myself looking at the magazines. And then I lift my head up, and I can see May pointing, not pointing, but obviously attracted to something up there. So with the woman she's with. So I looked up in the direction, and there's something about it that your eye, which is supposed to send the messages to the brain, I don't know, but the eye seems to register before the brain, you know.
Right.
You know. So I look down like this, you know. It's OJ. So I dropped the magazines. Forget I trained this guy 5 years straight, 4 or 5 years. And so he sees me and he shouts, Rick Wade! And there we are. And I was still working out pretty big still.
Yeah.
And then these two big guys hugging each other.
Right.
And everybody suddenly realizes this is O.J. Simpson, who had who supposedly had an accomplice in that whole nastiness,
okay.
etc. And so I dropped him right there. So
Yeah.
we start talking, and I started saying to him about this guy. So I said, what is it? I said, OJ, what is it, man? Carl had problems with a woman, his wife. I didn't go into too much detail. He knew.
Yeah.
Said, Bobby Blake and his wife, whatever. And you, what is it? and he laughed. And he says, did I see his interview with ABC or some station out in LA where he talked about Bobby Blake? I said, no, I didn't see that. So he tells me, well, I said, if Bobby Blake is watching right now, I hope he's not as stupid as I was and keeps his mouth shut. And I figured, oh my God, time to end this conversation.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I would have wanted if I were Blake at the time was to have OJ endorsing anything for me or telling me what I should do.
Right, in a murder case.
So that's the last I saw. But all of these are roots for. It was a great place because all these movie stars everybody was there.
Yeah.
Bobby Blinn, who did Roots, all of these guys were there.
Yeah.
The Monsters, all these people were there. Very, very nice story. So that'll wait for next time.
Okay.
It's been a great nostalgic trip.
It has, Rick.
And you are the ideal host.
Thank you.
Because you really research the subject. And I think it has a lot to do with love of the sport.
It has, yeah.
And we got to keep it going.
All right, absolutely.
So if I die tomorrow, well, at least there's something. You got something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can't thank you enough for doing this, Rick. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, well, we'll do it again sometime. Okay.
Stories. We have a lot of other stories I'd like to put on record.
All right.
Yes.
Right.
I look forward to that.
Okay.
Bye, John.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Take care.
Okay.